Hi, and welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
We're back again this week with projects and stories, and
it is the
Saturday.
It's the Saturday before.
Yeah. So this is going to come out on 4th of July. So happy 4th of July.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you to all of our new
so
subscribers. We're very happy.
Yeah, it's exciting to get new subscribers every week. So thanks.
So tell your friends.
Yeah.
To come
and
like
share,
and subscribe.
Share our videos. We're just.
Sorry, that's my phone.
Her phone is always doing something.
Every week.
Because I'm so popular.
It's called mute. It's called turn the volume down. It's called put it on silent or vibrate.
Or leave it in your room.
I'm going to go first this week because I have I can't call it a finish. I can call it a
I
half.
bet you didn't talk
half a
about this
finish.
after.
Oh, she's going first.
Yeah, I'm not going first. I'm just going to mention that for
I'm
the month
excited. I'm sorry. Look, get me my Coke.
We're being really
So for the month of July, I'm not really going. I'm going to let her go first. But I did want to say for the month of July, on our Etsy shop, Three Sisters Creative, we are having a sale. It's 20% off if you spend $35 or more, and that will give you free shipping. So it's a great deal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
and so like $35 or more, that would be like a bag and an Ocean's bag together.
Yeah,
and then
or you know, a bag and a scissor fob, or you know,
and so then you'd get a discount, but then you'd also get free shipping. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I should buy something from you. All right, I'm going to go first. I was going to say I can't really say I have a finish because I told you long ago. I told you about my single sock syndrome disease, but so I have a half a finish, but because I don't know. I just decided because I'm crazy. My daughter went away. She was already in Boston, so it's not like she left. But she went to Connecticut for her music festival, and so I had these. I got this. It's called Rose City Rollers. Is the pattern, and it's free, and on Ravelry. And this, look, it's a little shorty sock. Isn't it so cute? And it's a little rolly top. It doesn't have.
That's the one you were working on last week.
That's the heel I turned last week. Look, I finished the whole sock. Kitchener stitch, which has a mistake, but yeah, I don't know what I dropped a stitch in Kitchener. Don't drop a stitch in Kitchener stitch. Because it's very hard to figure out what the heck you're doing after that. But I just made it up. It's got a little bump inside, but that's all right. Anyway, so there's that. There's the pretty heel I turned. Doesn't fit on your hands, though. But anyway, and it does have look at that. Isn't that awful? It's got laddering right here. But it's just for my kid, and she won't care. And maybe when I block it, I can pull some of that out. Makes me mad. There's a little on the bottom,
How does laddering happen?
Laddering happens, laddering is there's all theories about the best way to make socks, but the old-fashioned way to make socks traditionally is on double-pointed needles like this. And laddering happens, and I'm usually really good about it. I really am kind of a stickler about it. Laddering happens when you do all the stitches on this needle, and then you start on this needle, and if your tension isn't right, you can get looser. It's basically looser stitches, and you see the little what they call ladders between the stitches more. And it's like this one is much better, although see right there, it's just it's a tension problem in between your two needles, and something got messed up back here. I don't know, but I'm just doing it for fun, and it's for Hannah, and she won't care, and unless I point it out, she won't notice. And if I say, I'm sorry, there's laddering on your sock, she'll say, no sorries. So anyway, so that's her theory, no sorries. So that's sweet. But anyway, so I made one sock, and I'm kind of proud of myself. I rolled off a ball of this yarn because I made it from two separate little yarn balls, and I think I have it in here. It started out very yellow, this skein, and so I pulled it out until I got to the blue part. So they're not exactly matches, but they're pretty close. So, because you gotta kind of, if you're having variegated socks, it's like you're gonna have to find the same area in the variegation so that it'll work out. So I'm hoping it'll out, and I got the cuff and heel done. I'm just working on this instep part that's just straight stitching, and then do the toe, and it'll go pretty quick. My plan is to finish it this weekend, and then on Tuesday mail her a box with goodies and stuff like that, just for something fun to do.
When I was working on that owl that I finished last week, when I was stitching that with that DMC variations, whatever that it was, it's very variegated.
Yeah.
And it goes from like completely white to completely brown, but has big sections, in each color. And so like I found that like in certain sections that I had to like work on a different section or something else till I could find the a dark section, so they wouldn't go from like yellow into like really
that's what
dark
happens with variegated yarns like this. It has a pattern and it does repeat. So if you can find, like I had just randomly started with like a blue-green on this sock, and then it transferred into the purple at the heel. And so when I went to make this one, it's not exact, but I tried to get as close as I could, and it transfers a little late here on the heel, but the instep is still going to be purple. It'll be, like I say, it'll be sisters, not twins. But some people really freak out, and I was like, there's even some socks called Pairfect, Pair-Fect yarn. That's a single ball for 2 socks, and it has leader yarn. And so you start at the end of that leader, which is like a ugly bright yellow, and then you start there, and then you make your cuff, and you go down to your heel. You make your cuff until you reach a different, like say it's variegated, and then it'll be solid. When you hit the solid, you start the heel, and then when you hit the variegated again, you start or whenever you're done with the heel, you turn it, and then you go, and then when you hit the solid again, you start the toe, and then you just start it, and then when it's the right length, you make the toe. But so there's an extra solid at the end. So that way, when you make the second one, so it has a solid for the toe, and then there's a bunch of solid, and then it'll have another leader. So you cut that, start at the end of that second leader, and then your socks exactly match. It's kind of cool. Never done it, but I like these because they're fast, and they have this neat little rolled cuff, and I know Hannah likes shorty socks, so I thought I'd just try the free pattern. It's kind of you kind of have to know what you're doing. If you've never made a sock before, it's not the pattern for you, but it's called Rose City Rollers, and I can't remember the name of the designer, but if you search that, you'll find it. It's a free pattern. I thought it was a great free little pattern, and since you don't have to knit that long ankle part, it goes real fast. So that's fun. So I'm almost done. I'm going to plan to get this done by, oh look, it's like a little fish.
And you wonder why we're always laughing.
I know. So I plan to get this done in the next 2 days. Shouldn't be a problem if my husband will at least leave me alone. And
your son will stop dropping cats on you.
So he comes home from work on Friday, and on Friday day I had did the toe, and I started the next sock. And he comes home from work. I'm like, how was your day? He said, good. It was productive. And I said, mine wasn't productive at all, unless you count sock knitting as productive. And he goes, no, I don't. Like, well, some people do. I said. So that's my half finish. I have to keep this remote far away from me. I apologize. Last week's video, I put my elbow on that remote, and now when I'm actually pressing it, I can't get it to stop.
Sorry.
When I'm actually pressing it, I can't get it to stop and start. But apparently I can do it accidentally, very easily. So that's my current knitting. And then, okay, so you remember this bag Eve made last week?
I fixed it.
She fixed it. She put in the 2.
I almost completely took it apart.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make more, which led to disaster. But
which she will tell you about in her segment. But
I wanted to make more, but so I wanted to make all the changes so that I would not make.
So she would know exactly how she was going to do it. So I get the prototype, and I'm happy because I love this bag. But so, boop, But look what's inside. Okay, so I've talked about Casapinka and Sharon from Security and their mystery knit along that happened last August, and I made that big beautiful scarf. And she's having another one. It's called the Snarkometer. Somebody said, "Is it Snarkometer or Snarkometer?" She's like, "However you want to pronounce it." Sharon from Security is doing another mystery knit along called the Snarkometer or Snarkometer. And, we got some financial things coming up, and I knew buying $100 worth of yarn is out of the question. It takes 4 skeins of fingering yarn, which nice, fine, hand-dyed stuff. You're looking at $25, $30 a piece. So I was like, I don't really want to deal with that. So last year, I don't remember when it was. You gave me a skein of yarn. Was it Christmas? Wasn't this past Christmas?
It wasn't for Christmas. Was it?
It was Christmas.
Was it Christmas?
Was it 2 Christmases ago?
It might. No. You know what? It was Christmas, but our Christmas was in July.
Well, we did in January.
In January, yeah.
Yeah. So she bought me a skein of yarn, and it's really neat. It's like.
And you bought a couple.
Well, okay, so yeah, it's like teals and like light pinks and whites and speckled. It's really pretty.
My colors.
Yeah. So I bought some. I tried to buy some solids to go with it, and the more I looked at it, I'm like, it doesn't really go, and I think that skein of yarn needs something else. So I thought, well, I have those 3. So the 3 I bought, see, it's full of yarn. So fun. I bought this gray, which it's like a bluish gray. Isn't that beautiful? It's not variegated. It's what they call tonal. It's got lights and darks, but it's all the same color, which you count as a solid. And then I got this one, which is like color. A magenta. Isn't that beautiful?
That's really pretty.
Oh, let me move my suckers out of the way. So there's those 2. Wet my drink.
Kind of clashes with the tablecloth.
It does. And then this dark blue. Beautiful dark
beautiful
blue.
Together.
Some of the blues are so dark that it's almost black. Look at that. So pretty. So there's those.
Those
3.
are really pretty together.
Yeah. Those are pretty together. So I'm like, I need something to go with that. Dun, dun, dun. Look at this thing.
Oh goodness.
That's
Look at that.
nice. And Hobby Lobby has stepped
This is
up.
from Hobby Lobby.
It really has stepped up.
It's Yarn Game.
Not just the yarns.
Yeah.
They're just so nice, and so many of the craft areas you're like the fabrics.
So
fabrics.
So she got that yarn at Hobby Lobby.
I'm talking about cross stitch fabric.
Well, I know, but I'm saying
I was telling them. Yeah.
I bought these 3 at Hobby Lobby. So this is hand dyed. I don't know exactly how or where, but it's hand dyed. But they have consistent colors, so you can always go and find this blue. From skein to skein, it might not be exact, but it's tonal anyway, so it changes. Anyway, so I bought these 3 there, and then I went back to look. So this is 100% superwash merino wool, all of these, which is very nice standard, for the industry, just for a simple superwash. I don't always use superwash, but anyway, I'm very excited about this, and I think this skein. Just look at that. I'm so excited. It comes out August 15th. We get the first clue, and you get a clue a week. What day of the week is that? I don't know. But so we get a clue a week, August 15th. So by the time I go to Boston on the 28th, I guess is when we're going.
I thought it was next week.
It feels like next week. No, but anyway, by the time I go to Boston, it will be, I'll have a couple clues under my belt. And so I'm going to take this in this project bag. I think it'll fit with the actual made shawl. But so I almost wound this into balls today.
I started sewing a larger one.
Oh,
so I cut out the one that I burned my hand with, and I cut out a larger one.
Okay. Because this is good. I mean, this is shawl size. I would say maybe a little bit bigger. It's not sweater size. Because the problem is you have to fit the yarn and then you have to fit the project on top of it.
And the needles.
Well, needles don't take much space, but the project grows and the yarn balls get smaller, so it should work out. But anyway, this, I almost wound this into balls. I took it out of their original skeins. Their original skeins are pretty compacted and skinny, and I took it out. I had it just laying there like flowing hair on my table. It was so beautiful. And I actually wrapped all 4 skeins together like that in one big giant roll. I was looking at it like, oh, it's so perfect because these blues and grays, there's grays in there, and this magenta, oh, look, here it comes. Oh, look at that. I'm just going to sit here and ooh and ah over my yarn if you don't mind. But the magentas match. Look at the grays, they match. And then this gold will be just a different pop. I think it's going to be gorgeous. And she said you don't have to have a lot of you don't have to have a lot of contrast in this. You don't have to worry about contrast. So like I was thinking, like some of this, like if this gray met this gray, the stitches would be, would kind of be lost. But she said you don't have to worry about it too much. So I'm hoping that won't be a problem, and I don't care if it is. This is how to wind a skein, by the way. But I'm trying to resist the urge to put them into balls, but just because I actually saw a thing where this one Very Pink Knits posted a picture, she actually winds her balls twice because the first time you wind it, it can be too tight, and if you leave it like that, it kind of stretches the yarn and it'll affect your gauge. And she says, so it'll affect your gauge, so you do a different gauge, and then when you wash it, it kind of goes back to its natural state, which then changes the size of your product. So it's kind of, you have to treat it nice. So I'm trying to be nice. I just like putting them in yarn cakes. I just love it because you get to see all the variations on each other. But anyway, so that's coming up in August. So I'm going to put them in this beautiful bag. I love this bag, Eve. Make 1 million of these. No, I think yarners like me would buy them. Because look, what's nice is when they're open, and especially if you're talking about she's going to put a cardboard in the bottom, it would sit like that, and you can put it by your chair, and it's a little bucket. Oh, beautiful. And I also brought this because I need to put my socks away because they're all over the place. Put them back in this bag. I brought this because I found this. Okay, years ago, Eve made everybody, right? Bags.
I made everybody bags, but they weren't all the same.
Right. They weren't all like this.
I keep searching for that book so that I can remember how I did some of them.
I don't think I have it, but she had this book about making bags. And this bag, look at this. You could probably just figure it out, Eve. You're so smart. But this is a bag made out of placemats and this webbing.
Yeah, I've seen people who have that exact thing, on Pinterest and stuff. And
so she used a placemat down here, and then 2 matching ones on the top. And I love this. You know how I am about Santas, and it's naturally lined, and the edges are finished inside, and it's nice and roomy for a big Christmas project. Anyway, I just brought that to remind you of how good she is.
I have tried to see if I could make something similar, not using placemats. But what's really nice about the placemats is that they've got padding in them. They're usually already quilted.
They're lined or quilted already.
Yeah. And
so it makes a nice sturdy bag. Here's how you want it. You can keep it so you can look how you did it.
No, I know how I did it. I remember exactly how I did it. No, some of the other bags is the ones I was wanting. But
so you have these little corners hanging out. But I guess theoretically you could trim them.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't trim them
because there's no lining. Yeah.
The only reason I didn't trim them is because then it would have left raw edges.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there was a lining, you could have trimmed them off.
And there would have been threads everywhere. But actually, those little corners
kind of give the bag some weight down here to kind of hold it up. But
you know what? Since I might do a video on making those bags.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and just.
I really like the webbing.
The webbing is probably the most expensive part of that bag. Those placemats I bought at the dollar store.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Aww. Right about.
I love it.
October maybe, they start getting in all kinds of Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
And they had a whole bunch of tapestry style.
Those are very cool.
Well, you know, because the dollar store isn't cheap or inferior product stuff overall. Usually it is like overstock.com.
Yeah.
In a physical form.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I went in there and I found those and I snapped them up.
That's so beautiful. Okay, so then also the last thing I'm going to show you is we were at the Hobby Lobby together and I saw this and I made Eve buy it. Look how adorable. It's Christmas gnomes and I chose this polka dot to go with it.
Yeah.
Make me lots of bags, and then you lucky people who love gnomes will have bags online also. Aren't they so cute? Could you just die?
I'm going to have to start.
And these are good gnomes. Some gnomes I don't like. I'm very picky about my gnomes. I don't like the... Okay, so my husband bought me an alpaca little figurine. Not little, it's about this big, tall. His back about here. An alpaca. He's adorable. But he bought it from this weird, like, statuary decor company. So now we get their weird old, like, catalogs that have like a paper order form in the center, and they're so funny to look through. And they have gnomes, but all their gnomes are stupid, like bent over with his butt showing and a butterfly on his butt, and just dumb looking gnomes. I don't like those. I like sophisticated gnomes, but these are silly, but they're very cute. Look at them. They're adorable. The only thing we can't find, remember I was looking, is a gnome charm.
I know. Can't find gnome charms.
I don't know why.
And gnomes are really in right now. You'd think that you
Yeah.
would be able to find them.
So anyway, maybe they'll come out. But so I like that. It's so cute. I'm gonna pass this back to you because you're the fabric queen.
I did not get any of the 4th of July bags that I had planned to make. So they'll be on the Etsy site before next 4th of July.
You know, like I said last week, you live in the United States forever.
So I guess
Show your
I'm gonna just make random things. But start on Christmas stuff right now. I find it difficult to work on seasonal stuff when it's not that season, because
Except for Christmas.
well,
All right.
yeah,
Shall I tell my stories now or later? I'll tell them
You
later.
can- yeah. Well, I don't
Stick
have a
around
lot.
for some stories. I got some stories.
I don't have a lot. Today I'm working on a Mill Hill kit. You can't see it, it's tiny. Letters to Santa.
Oh, it's a doggy mailing.
It's a dog mailing a letter to Santa Claus. And I have another Christmas kit that I bought a while back to do for Jolly July, but I started this one first. And I almost said, I'll start this one right now. No, I'm going to finish this one and then I'll work on that one. Because I'm doing this in between doing my July cross-stitch camp piece and my...
Which is what did you choose for your...
Coop Parade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got
the chicken.
I've got the basket.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
What?
Okay, I have an update real fast to interrupt you with.
That's okay.
Excuse you, talking about chickens. I took the farm fresh eggs to my friend Sonia yesterday, and I went out to her
The
farm.
chicken lady, she buys eggs from.
I buy my eggs from her. I talk about her a lot, and I just put it in a gift bag and left it by the egg cooler because since it was in the pandemic, she always had us do like, contactless. So we would put money in a little can and we'd take the eggs. Now I just pay her on PayPal, but. Anyway, I've seen her, of course, occasionally. But that day I was like, I don't want to bug her. And I just put it there. But I emailed her as soon as I got back to my car. I was like, there's a little surprise for you. And I got this email back. It's so beautiful. Let me get it up. I put it in a, I'll show a picture of it. But I showed it last week. Yeah. She wrote back and said... oh my gosh, that's darling, darling, darling. It has already claimed a spot in the kitchen. Thank you so much for your gift and for the time you put into its creation. I will treasure that. So I thought that was really sweet. And But anyway, yeah. So it was fun to have that finally finished and actually give it to somebody. So that was fun. It was a lot of fun. So that's my little
So this Mill Hill
chicken
kit.
update.
This Mill Hill kit. I saw a different one on. One of the Flosstube channels. Might have been Two Tall Stitchers. I don't remember. And so I went to 123 Stitch to look for them, and because it was a snowman that they were showing, and I love snowmen. And I liked the snowman. I saw it there, and then I saw this dog, and I was like,
That's too cute.
I like this one better. So, and then it was sitting there in my bag, and I was like, I want to start that. I want to start that. Yeah, but I have all this other stuff. Yeah, but I want to start that.
You know what? I was just thinking about that because I'm working on those shawls, and I'm working on those little kids' sweaters, and I'm working on, Eli's sweater, for own sake. But I guess it's like no, I do work on it, but it's like a short attention span or something. I get so, like, I've gone through this, I've done however many rounds, and I can't anymore. And then, so then I start this, or like, with the shawls, it's like one repeat, and, which is 16 rows, which is a lot. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something different with my brain. So I understand that,
Yeah, and
start
that's
something
why
new just to kind of
I've been
refresh.
sewing a lot of project bags and stuff, and that goes into this. I put that aside because my brain didn't want to cut out any more project bags. It's the cutting out. It's not the sewing. Because I need a larger mat to cut them on. And so I have to fold the fabric a certain way and get it straightened again, and, to cut out what I want. And I don't mind doing it. It's just very time consuming. And so I had been working on, because I want to make a quilt. I've spoken about that before. And there's a YouTube channel called Just Get It Done Quilts. And she has a lot of tips and tricks and stuff, but she also has a lot of free patterns. And I found this pattern for making quilt blocks out of fat quarters. And it's just, I just sat there, was it chain stitching them?
Yeah.
And so it really, to sew them together like this, I did a few at first, so I have all the quilt blocks made. I need to square them up and make sure they're square before I put them together. But one afternoon, I think, cutting them out took a little bit longer, only because my tiny little mat, squaring them up, took a while to trim and get them.
The problem that I always had before, and I did it before, but I had to have like a designated table, is when you're quilting, you kind of have to have things out, like, for the whole length of the time. You can put them away, but I'm saying, like, it's so much harder when you have to put everything away and take it out, put it away and take it out.
And so then when we were at Hobby Lobby, the reason we were there, I wanted to buy some contrast fabric for the batik one that I wanted to do. But I needed a border fabric for these blocks. They're all like greens and teals. I don't know if you can, but
It's really nice.
I put a picture on my Instagram of more of the blocks. But we found this fabric, and it's fabulous.
It's perfect.
And I put it against a lot of the different ones. It just looks fabulous
Because
against
it's got
it.
the dark blue that will be the border, the big border.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the limey green that you have all throughout. It's got your teal. It's got all that.
Yeah, and Naomi found at Fry's on sale.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be the back.
So I was going to say, I've started quilting years ago. And you're supposed to. They talk about buying backing fabric, so it's another huge. Like they have 108 inches wide fabric, or you could buy more yards, and then you have to piece it together to be on the back of your quilt. Well, when I started quilting, I was like, I'm going to do that. I started
Well, and
thinking
I don't
about
have
it.
a big enough
No.
table.
And I did piece one back, and I thought I'm never doing this again, because then you have to stress about when you put so you put the backing down, and then you put the batting down, and then you put the quilt top. Well, all of that can shift, and you don't want to turn your quilt over after you've already put it together, and the backing seam goes like that, you know. So I was very stressed about making sure it all matched, and you know, and I thought, this is for the birds. And so what I do is I take a flat sheet. I try to get a nice high thread count, or you know, something, or just, it doesn't matter, but you take a flat sheet. So if you're making a sort of twin size quilt, usually it's really just the size of the top of a twin bed, but the flat sheet, you know, is wider and longer because they expect you to be able to tuck it. So it's the perfect size. And then you go to a full, and you go to a queen, and you go, you know, so you just kind of measure your, you know, your top, and then you get a flat sheet that fits that, make sure it fits that size, and it's good quality. You just have to, you know, you wind up trimming off all the seams on the edge of it. You do that anyway when you trim down the quilt, and it's comfortable because it's made to go against your skin, you know, in bed. So when you have the quilt on you, that backing, you know, and so it's just a solid color. It's not something beautiful, but I think it works really, really well. It's my biggest number one tip, is just use a flat sheet, you know, that
if you can find one
nice.
that goes well with your pattern, why not? You know.
That's what I would do. I go to Target. I know exactly the brand that I like, and I find a coordinating color. I don't bring it around the front like you are. You're she's gonna do a self-binding thing, which brings it around the front. But you know, and then you put a nice binding on it, and looks great. And it's.
I did do some quilting a long time ago. I used books and did it. I made one for Beth that's still sitting, waiting for me to repair it.
What does it need repairing? What needs repairing? The
The
binding?
seam was too. It's inside the seam was too small, so it came apart.
2 of the blocks or something?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Anyway, see, she doesn't even remember it. That's how long it's been.
Yes, I don't at all.
But
Are you gonna actually quilt the top, or straight stitch it? Straight stitch quilting with your walking foot, or are you gonna
what?
any of your quilts?
Oh yeah,
Or are you gonna freehand quilt it?
probably freehand quilted. But so I was trying to get, after I did that, I said, okay, enough of this, and I went to move to start doing stuff for the project bags, and so that bag, one of the things I discovered was I wanted to make it a different way, and it ended up being,
What are you talking about? This bag?
yeah,
A bag like this?
it ended up being this really long piece. Let's see. So when I was wanting to iron a piece of it, and you know it's cotton, so you have it on the really high setting, and I was trying to get it all flat so I could iron that part of it, and I moved my hand like that and touched my hand to the side of the iron.
Ow.
That was
Oh my
yesterday.
Gosh.
Yeah, and
I have done that.
it was like a volcano was on my hand. You know, I immediately, you know, was putting ice through a cloth, not directly on it, and ran it under cold water, and then I was like, ugh. So I went to Beth, who had a
It's a burn expert.
very bad burn, and I said, "Do you have anything for my burn?" And she gave me this stuff. I put it on there, and almost immediately the fire went out. Yeah, it was like that chemical stuff that they put on forest fires, and just gone.
Yeah, it was
Was it sulfadine cream?
sulfadine cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And
I did that before. I grabbed an iron like this because I didn't know it was on, and I went and burned my fingertips, and it was like the day of an orchestra rehearsal or something.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I can't come to rehearsal one night.
yeah, I didn't.
I didn't
I even posted that I wasn't going to post any stitching yesterday because my hand hurt, and you know, you touch the side of your hand a lot to your stitching and
Especially-
stuff.
Yeah.
And with that cream on, even though it took a lot of the pain and burn away, it was kind of like a little greasy area right here, and I didn't want to
How
wash
is it now?
it.
Until you got a Band-Aid on it?
I have a Band-Aid on it.
Hannah burnt her thumb real bad right here on the knuckle, on a pan or a hot tray or.
And you know,
Something.
we don't think, because burns happen so often, we don't think of them as serious as they sometimes are. Beth, when she burned herself, it looked bad, but it wasn't like, scary bad when we looked at it.
Yeah, when it first happened.
Yeah.
And
she burned herself with boiling water on her stomach.
and
oof.
she was making dinner, and
Yeah,
after
I just sloshed, I was stirring the pot and it like
Slid at you, didn't it?
yeah, it was starting to like it was sending up little blops of hot water, and one of them hit. I went to stir the spaghetti to
Calm it down.
And a little thing blurped up and hit my hand, and so I jerked my hand and sloshed water and spaghetti.
and I was asleep,
Yeah.
and as I
And it was like immediate, right? You
It was
pulled your shirt away.
it was like my shirt was wet and I just pulled it away.
Robert finished dinner for her, and she went and took care of it. And they told me when they called me to dinner, they told me, and I asked her to see it, and I was like,
It was
it was pink, but it wasn't bad.
I remember
and
seeing first pictures of it.
and I
and I didn't think it was that bad, and then
afterward we said, I better take you to urgent care.
yeah. Well, and I really didn't even was thinking, I don't need to go. But then by the end of dinner, it was like, is this kind of painful? Maybe we should go.
Well, and they're like, oh, it's fine, and
It was the nurse. It was the nurse that was like, you can go to the burn.
Yeah, because the nurse actually was thinking
it was worse than the doctor thought it was.
like 3rd degree or whatever, and the doctor came in and glanced at me and said, and it was and said it was like the 2nd degree.
Yeah.
So not not a serious whatever,
Right.
but they gave me they
gave you
put a
sulfating-
bandage on it
yeah.
and gave me sulfating cream and blah blah blah. But yeah.
But didn't really give you good instructions or advice. I don't think.
They told me to change the bandage I think twice a day.
That was the nurse.
Put the sulfating cream on it, and she did say, if you want to, if you feel like it, you can go to the burn center. And
Actually, I remember her being a little bit more like when the doctor left,
concerned about it.
I think this is bad.
And so a little while later, though, it was not looking good.
A couple of
They
days
actually
later.
took you to Dr. Jadov, and he didn't look at it. Remember, I shouldn't
Oh,
say
yeah,
his
because-
name out loud.
yeah.
But we took you to her primary, and I was with her at the time, and he's like, "Oh, you got a burn? Oh, okay, da da da." I don't know if he prescribed something. I said, "Don't you think you should look at it?" He's like, "Oh, okay." And then when he looked at it, he's like, it doesn't look too good, because I think it had already started getting infected.
I think.
Right?
Well, no, I don't know, because
I remember that he wasn't going to look at it.
yeah,
And I was like, can you look at it,
probably
please?
because it was bandaged, he didn't think too much about it. But I know that it was over the weekend that I told Eve, I asked her, could you come and look at this, because I don't know. It didn't look right to me.
Beth has a history of my taking her to the ER, and she ends up staying.
But because I would look at it in the mirror in my bathroom, and it's like, well, I don't know. Does it look? I don't know.
It looked bad. It was less than a week.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know what it's supposed to look
and
like.
she was doing everything they told her to do,
Yeah.
and it was less than a week.
We wound up at the hospital, and I took her in, and they were like,
I took her in.
"No,
She took me in.
I took her in.
You took her in?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay."
And
Well, I took her in for the brain surgery, so.
Yeah.
So we,
No, well, because we just decided all of a sudden.
yeah, it was
And-
like Monday morning,
and it was right
we decided
there.
to go to
Right,
to
but then they
Chandler
were like,
Regional.
I think you.
They said you definitely needed a breeding and then possibly a skin graft, and I was like, you know,
And she got a skin graft.
wound vac, nasty. That was nasty. Remember that? Do you remember the wound vac? It's like a black sponge they put on, and they put the dressing over it. So it's for the
I remember that.
after the skin graft. Yeah.
I
So you went to
remember that.
surgery. They took out all the dead skin. They took the graft from your thigh. They stuck it on there, you know, in the crisscross because they cut it so that it.
I must
opens
have
up.
been. I don't remember that.
And then
at all.
This is very
you woke
soon.
up and had a wound vac on for
I
a
don't
week.
remember that.
Well, you know, Beth, you know,
Remember it was black?
you had
I don't know.
just started doing
It's
things
like
like cooking and stuff like that again. You had just started doing that
but
kind
it
of
was,
stuff again.
But it's like a black sponge they put on, and it has a tube, and it's like a vacuum, so it's pulling
I remember
blood
Doctor.
and you know it's pulling the blood into the graft to get it to get blood and grow. Because if they just put the graft on there and slapped it, it wouldn't.
I remember.
But yeah, you had that wound vac on for like a week.
Oh,
You
I
have to
remember
remember
Dr.
that.
Moore
I can't-
like looking at my thigh, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I had, you know, a bandage on my thigh where they had taken the skin graft, and he, I don't know if he went to change the bandage or he was doing something, because I remember it was like they had that yellow dressing on it, I think. And they went to take that off, and I was like, I was bleeding all over the place. You know, it was like making a mess. You know, so like, no, that's not, you know. So they had to rebandage
But-
it or
But yeah,
something.
no,
My-
you got a wound vac. It was
My
gross.
whole point is, any burn, you really need to take it seriously.
And watch it. That's what I told Hannah. She had a pretty nasty burn, I think, on her right thumb, and it was pretty. You know, I'm like, you need to keep an eye on that and make sure you put at least Neosporin on it and watch it every day and make sure you don't see redness growing, because, you know, it was a pretty thick burn, and I'm like, eeks. But so don't mess around. Take care of your burns. But
Better just
or
not
how
to
about
burn
this?
yourself.
Watch out where the iron is. That's the first step. And don't grab it like this.
My
And
son,
don't slosh
when
boiling
I was
water
telling
on
my
you.
son about it, he looked at me and goes, "How long have you been ironing, Mom?"
Well, it's like, you know, I used to joke about my mom not understanding the relationship between hot things and plastic. because when I was a kid, we had a Tupperware cup that had a little, you know, wedge in it, dent in it, divot in it, because she had leaned something. Oh, she was using it to iron. She was using this cup of water to sprinkle water on whatever she was ironing, and then to iron it. And she had leaned the iron up against it or something, and so it had a little, you know. And there was a big. She had a big Tupperware bowl that she mixed. She used to mix tortilla dough, cookie dough, stuff like that. And it was a big bowl like this.
Big Tupperware bowl. Yeah.
And it also had a divot in it because she had
Something hot on
put
it.
something hot on there and burnt it. And it was like,
Plastic melts.
plastic melts when you put something hot on it. Yeah. But, so should I go next?
Yeah, go
Are you
ahead.
done? Okay.
I got some stories, but you go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, well, I have a story too. But
I'm working on this mini spring from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, from my July cross stitch camp project, and I'm
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
blue.
so these are butterflies at the top here that I still have to do the black for their bodies, but I did everything else there, because I think that's the only place that this little orange color is used, other than there's a little bit of back stitching, and I already did the word spring. And right now I'm working on this flower here. It's going very quickly. This is my July project, and I predict I'll be done with it before the end of the month easily. because I'm a cheater and I use tiny projects.
That's okay.
But,
that's not cheating. That's being realistic.
No, yeah. But I also have a little snowman. I think I showed it before.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Snowman?
a little snowman that was it's a Priscilla's Pocket stoneware snowman.
Well, I think maybe weeks ago you showed it.
Yeah, I don't know. That I'm gonna work on this month also, as if I once I finish this little Priscilla's Pocket snowman
Let me see.
It's
kit.
very cute.
Oh yeah, you showed that. I think, in
So
past-
it's a kit that comes with fabric and trim and floss. I think it's blackberry jam, but just a little thing of floss. So I'm gonna work on that as my for my Jolly July project, because I assume I'll be finished with this my July cross stitch camp project, and this little project bag. But
So that project bag you got, is that
this
the one you
I
got
got
at Tempe Yarn?
at Mull Queen.
Oh,
no,
Mull Queen.
no, Tempe Yarn, Tempe Yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Fiber Attic. You can't read it here very well because it's in gray, but yeah, it's
The
Fiber
one I
Attic.
got at Mull Queen. No, you didn't get that at Mull Queen. I got mine at Mull Queen.
Yeah,
you
I
got
got
that
this
at
at Tempe
Tempe Yarn
Yarn, yeah.
Fiber. Yeah, I got
'cause
mine at Mull Queen.
She was jealous of the one you got at Mull Queen.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, I didn't see them at Mull Queen.
They were up near the
Yeah.
cash register.
Yeah, that has a zipper in the middle. Yeah.
Or were they over by
Yeah.
the presser feet?
I didn't see it. It had because it had a zipper.
yeah, I
on
don't
top
have it
and
here.
then a zipper right across
Like
the.
a small pocket
yeah.
halfway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, yeah, the pocket is attached.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but yeah,
I'm looking at it going,
and and like I bought this one, and then like for the price that I paid for this one, I could have gotten several of them on Amazon because I had seen them.
But you supported
Yeah.
Tempe Yarn
Yes, I did.
Fiber, which is a
Yes.
little
and a brick and
LYS.
yellow and a brick and mortar
brick and
building.
yellow.
Brick and yellow. I don't know why I was saying yellow.
It just
My
came
brain
out of
is
Black and
fried.
yellow. Black and yellow. Remember that? Black and yellow.
Yeah. They used to play that when Robert would his wrestling matches and stuff like
Used
that.
to play what?
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. black
Because
and
their
yellow.
colors were black and
Oh.
yellow,
It's a
and
dance
so that they put that song on, and the team would come running out.
Is it story time?
I think it is.
No, well,
What?
there was something else I was going to talk about.
I'm sorry.
Talk about pop music.
Talk about
After she knows her story, you'll think about it, and you can say.
that.
So you got that, and you got that, and you did that. What else? Were you talking about these?
No,
Oh.
those are just.
Just there.
Yeah,
Well, if you think
I don't
about
know.
it, you can interrupt me.
Okay.
No, but I just had, okay, so first of all, this happened this week, and I said to myself, oh, that's going on the video. Okay, so I subscribe to, this is Missouri Star Quilt Company, and she also had one of those, which is mine.
I didn't show it after all.
Missouri
'cause it's a
Star
different
Quilt Company
pattern.
has these great magazines that they put out. What's nice is you subscribe to it, and it's not, I don't think it's that much a year. I mean, it's, it's not free. But there's no ads in here. It's just their magazine. It's so beautiful, and I love them for that. So if you were a mailman, how would you put this in the mail? It's square, so it's not really obvious. Like, oh, that this is the
Like a magazine, a regular
it's not like a
magazine.
regular magazine, but it rolls real easy.
And it has a binding.
And yeah, it's got a square binding here. That could go in a mailbox, right? No. My mailman decided to look at it. It's busted. He bent it this way, all the way into my mailbox. And I get it out, and the spine is ripped and broken in 2 places. I'm like, the words were up and down. These words go the right way. Like, if you're looking at it, you're just like, oh, this isn't gonna fit. Anyway, it made me so mad. I've never gotten a ruined one before. Magazines roll, guys. This way. Anyway, I was so sad because it's busted.
I told you to contact the
No, I don't.
post office.
I ain't like you. I don't complain about everything. I complain about.
Yeah, but you don't
some
want them putting the
things.
next one in there like that.
it'll probably be a different mailman by then. But I love these magazines.
They're good.
They have like little articles, and then this has a timeline of Missouri Star. But it's got, what's nice is it'll have, okay, so here's the, like, no, that's the wrong thing. That's a box. Here it is. So it'll here, like, this is the beginning of the pattern for this quilt right here. And then on the next page, it gives you the full picture, the full picture of the quilt and all the supplies you need. And this is what the quilt blocks will look like, and it gives
the
you
pictures of the quilts are on the back too.
step by step. Yeah, step by step. And then here is like a step by step photos, and here is the schematic of the blocks and the schematic of the quilt, and like with borders and everything. And then at the very back, if you're like, what quilt was that? There's a page for every quilt here it is. There's a page for every quilt that's in the book, and tells you what page to find it on. So it's really cool. I love these magazines, and I have a whole bunch. And my credit card, I guess, like for about a year, right around the time I really stopped heavily quilting, my credit card expired, and so I didn't get like probably about a year's worth. But I started getting them again, and I love them so much. So that's my bad mailman story. Then my other story, okay, I'm going to put a picture right here of my new little fish. You know, my fish died, and we got a new fish named, well, she's a little tiny, she's a beta, but she's a female, which I've never had before. They don't have the long flowy tails, but, so my fish died, and we got a new beta female, and she's beautiful. I'm going to put a picture up. She's a koi. So they breed them, and they breed them for all different colors. And this one is bred to look like a koi fish. She's so cute, and she's little, and I named her Kimchi. And then we found out that she's a psycho killer. So we have a snail named Gary, of course. What else are you gonna name a snail? And he had big, beautiful tentacles, and he'd walk around.
Antenna.
Well, apparently...
Antenna, yeah.
Antenna, no.
You said
antenna,
tentacles.
not tentacles, antenna. Apparently that fish, because I saw her over there with him, I didn't know what was happening, and then Gary has little stubby antenna now. I think she was like, those look like yummy. She's a pig, first of all. She will eat all of whatever we put in there all the time. I've never had a beta that eats that much. And every time you come over, she's like, are you going to feed me? Are you going to feed me? She's beautiful and very smart. But I think she was like, those look like worms. What is that? And ate his tentacles. I swear.
His antenna.
I mean, his antenna.
Poor thing.
His
and now he's traumatized.
So now he was hiding for a long time. Like, is he dead? Well, no, he comes out and he's got little stubby. I think they'll grow back. He's got stubby little antenna now. But
like in the Octopus Teacher.
Yeah, and there was another incident where we were in the dining room, and he was on the back of the tank. Or no, he was on top of this little structure we have there, kind of on the top. And all of a sudden, I see the activity in the tank, and I see him go whew through the tank, and I'm like, because okay, the snail we had prior to him, Gary number 2, would get up to the top of the tank, and then he would let go and spread his foot like that and kind of fly down. It was the coolest thing. This guy hasn't done it even before Kimchi, but so at first I thought that's what I was seeing, but no, he was closed up and he was going like that through the water, and I'm like, did that fish bite his foot? Because he was kind of on top of this. We have this lattice structure. You'll see it in the photos, and I think I had seen him on top of there, so I don't know if his little foot was hanging off or something, accessible to her, but I think she bit him. I think. And threw him across the... So she's like a little psycho killer. So Mark has named her Harley Quinn. From, what is it, Guardians of the Galaxy? No, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That girl that has all the crazy colors. So he calls her Harley. So, but she's really beautiful. And I feel so bad for Gary, but I don't know what to do. I don't want to set up a whole new tank just for the snail. So.
Well,
but he kind of hides from her now. I think he's kind of like down in the, he doesn't seem to expose himself.
A long time ago, when I was
I feel
married,
so bad.
a friend of my ex-husband's had fish that needed to be fed every day. One was a lobster-ish thing. They called it a lobster. It didn't look like a lobster, but it had long arms with
Claws.
pinchers more than claws. But yeah, not the roundy shape that lobsters have. But anyway, they had a one tank, and it was divided. And the lobster was on one side, and they had other very beautiful fish on the other side.
Uh-oh.
And so we would go there and feed unfortunate little fish to the lobster. Ooh. It was traumatizing to me. And so, but his friend told him that shortly after they returned from wherever they'd been, that they found he had killed one of the other fish.
How?
He reached around the divider.
Reached around the side.
The divider they had a little thin gap, and it reached around with its little pinchers and killed the fish.
Oh.
And then the dead fish floated around to the other side, and he went up there and got it.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And the moral to that story is get another tank.
Yeah, I know. So I feel bad about Gary. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I don't know what to do about... Oh, but the reason that we're not trying to endanger our snail, but no beta that we've ever owned has ever... Well, I should say Lawrence, because we never had a snail with a beta before, but Lawrence never bothered them. He would look at them, but he would never... He wasn't like that. This fish is so active. She's all over the tank. She's beautiful to watch. She's just, active and flying all over the place. And every time you walk over, she's like, okay, feed me. But I've never experienced that where they would.
Can you put some decoration in there that he can hide in?
Oh, there's tons. You'll see pictures of our tank. We have like 3 plants. We have a bunch of boulders.
But I mean, stuff she can't get in that he can.
Yeah. Like he can get down there, and I see him a lot. Like he's not like woo out like he was before. So I think he's being cautious now. I don't know. I feel so bad for him. Tank drama. Okay, last story. My dad has some residual lung issues that he's been going through.
That was a bad story.
Actually, it's a good story.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
Anyway.
a bad day.
It was a bad day. He had some...
Which is another reason I didn't get sewing done.
He had some shortness of breath that morning and took an inhaler and felt okay. Then I took him to PT, which isn't vigorous PT. It's, but anyway, we were there and he started feeling that way again. And the therapist and I were like, I think we need to get you to urgent care. The thought was... Well, hopefully they'll give you like a nebulizer treatment to just kind of open things up.
Because his pulmonologist said,
Yeah, that we would do next step medications maybe. So I decided to take him to urgent care. Now, my dad has a kind of a wonky chest x-ray, which I knew already. He's got some scar tissue on there, and his trachea is a little bit deviated. So I knew that his x-ray looked wonky already. But this poor urgent care doctor didn't, and he didn't show it to me. If he'd have shown it to me, I would have said, that's how he always looks. But what he said instead was, you have fluid on the right side of your lung, and you need to go to the hospital, because you're not going to be better tomorrow. You need to, maybe they'll give you antibiotics and send you home, or maybe they'll drain it, or I'm like, what? And because he'd been feeling so bad that day, I didn't think, his x-ray looks, I didn't think about that. And he goes, I don't hear it. Ding, 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 ding. But I see it on the x-ray. We're like, okay. Oh boy. So I was very upset. Dad was upset. We were all upset.
But I'd rather he be cautious.
Well, yeah, this is a lesson in better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
But so we went to the ER. And it turns out they looked at that x-ray and they looked at his previous x-ray like, there is no fluid. This is exactly the same. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then they just did some blood work and we waited for that. So we weren't there too long, but it was long enough. But the story comes is at the very end. You know, they always send the registrar, right? And at our hospital, they have a little rolling computer cart. So they come in and they ask you a bunch of questions and make sure they have your insurance cards and, you know, all the demographics so that, you know, they actually register you being there. And we had already gotten the news that we were going to go home and, you know, everything was fine and everything. But so that made it kind of even funnier. But so this girl comes in and she's like, "Hi, I'm just here to do some stuff, you know, do the demographics for you, okay?" I am not exaggerating. She's like, "So I show that your address is, you know, blah, blah, blah." And we're like, "Yes." She's like, "Perfect. Okay. And then I see that your phone number is da, da, da." "Yeah, that's correct." "Perfect." Literally, it's just, "Perfect." And I'm like, and I'm just watching, and I'm just like, "Oh, Dad, I wish I could talk to you right now." And then, you know, she went on and on and on, and everything, every time you answered anything, it was perfect. And I'm like, what if I wasn't perfect? And then she's like, "So when did this problem start?" And I'm thinking in my mind, like if I said, well, and we said, "Well, he started feeling short of breath this morning." Perfect. And I'm like, so if I said, "I was in a car accident and I lost my leg while I was in the car accident," would you actually go, "Perfect"? Like, it was so funny. So it was consistent the entire time with all the questions. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. And, you know, and I props to you, young lady, for being, you know, pleasant and excited about your job and happy to be doing your work. I would much rather have that than someone who's a grump at me for no reason. But she left, and I was just like, and my dad goes, "I wonder what she's like at home." And I started laughing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Dad." Oh my God. And I was kind of making fun, and he's like, "No, don't make fun of people." I'm like, "Dad, some people just invite it. And you have no choice but to make fun of people." The way they acted, it was so funny. It made the unnecessary aspect of being at the hospital kind of worth it.
He came back and he was
funny.
still laughing about it.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Yeah. But yeah, so those are my crazy stories from this.
Now
week.
I remember what I was going to talk about.
Okay, I think that's all I was going to talk about.
No, I was just reminded when Eve was talking about that she's doing this Mill Hill kit, that you know, for the past several days off and on, I've been going through all my cross stitch patterns and trying to sort of reorganize them.
Oh,
right now I'm just like putting everything in page protectors. I've got some big fat notebooks. I have one notebook that's like maybe a 2-inch notebook, and I'm putting in it all these patterns that I've already stitched, right? And then, you right?
I don't know what she's eating on the floor.
There's a dog.
She notoriously eats stuff, and I thought she was gonna barf on me yesterday, so I don't know what she was eating.
But
So
so
you're putting all your patterns.
yeah. So then the other day I bought a 3-inch binder, one of those big D-ring binders, and it's already full. And I'm not putting. I thought at first I would put kits in there as well, but it's like no, because they're too fat. So I have a box full of kits, including some kits that I just recently bought that are Mill Hill kits, that come with. These are fabric. They're not perforated paper, but they're fabric, and they come with the beads and the everything, the threads and everything. But they're so all my kits are in this one little plastic box. But anyway, so I was going through the ones that I had already stitched, and there's a Mill Hill kit in there, and I have absolutely no memory of doing it. And I have, I think, some of the beads that came with it. I have,
What was it?
put away. It's like a, I think it's like a, I want to say it's an apple pie. I don't know. I don't remember. It's like I don't know if it's supposed to be apples or cherries. It's some kind of little I don't know thing. And
But you'd stitched it already?
I guess so. I think I did. And like I said, I have no memory of having done
Like Gandalf. I have no memory of this place.
it. Like who?
Gandalf.
Oh.
That's my favorite line when he goes in there in Moria. He's like, but he sticks his teeth out like that. I have no memory of this place.
But anyway, so
that's what I say every time I come into a situation like that.
But so I was going through all these patterns, and I'm like, am I gonna stitch this? I don't know. And
That's good for you.
Yeah, I was. Well, it is because I have a tendency to like, oh, I want to buy this, I want to buy this, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then I stick them in a drawer, and
We were talking about this again today because I have a pattern in my cart on 1, 2, 3 stitch going, I really want this, but I really don't want it because I have too much to do.
Well, yeah, and I was going through like, because the thing that prompted this was, I was looking at some of the Stitching with the Housewives patterns, and I was trying to remember, did I order this one?
Oh no!
Because I typically order like the PDFs from them, but also like every week they do like giveaways and stuff, and so if they have featured patterns or whatever, a lot of times those are in their giveaways, and so they have like 3 chances to win this and 3 chances to win that, and so of course you just put in the numbers that you want, right? For the ones that they're giving away. So there's always stuff. So I enter things every week, and so I can't remember like, well, did I enter that one or did I buy that one already? Because some things are really cute, and I think if I didn't get it in the giveaway, I might order it later or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm running across like all these things like, oh yeah, I bought all these, and so anyway, I have just a ton of patterns. And so, but the thing that prompted me to do this was like trying to remember which ones I had and which ones I didn't have. So I came across all these patterns. Well, it just so happened that yesterday, I guess, a couple of people had posted, their progress on some patterns that they were working on, and one of them was Lavender and Lace, Angel of something, Grace, Angel of Grace, Angel of Hope, something like that. I don't remember. And then another one was I think it's Teresa Wensler, Castle Sampler. And I have both of those patterns. And the Castle one I came across, it was in my pile of samplers that I have. And the Lavender and Lace ones I knew I had, but I was like, I don't know that, part of me I really like them. The Lavender and Lace ones especially are really pretty, but at the same time I'm like, a little bit of it, my taste has changed a little bit over the years, and also I don't really have a place to put them because those Lavender and Lace things are big, and they're basically, you would frame them and hang them on the wall, and I don't know, they're really nice, but they're really complicated. I'm
sorry, I missed. Do you have one, and you just don't like it?
I have 3 of them.
Oh.
three Lavender and Lace patterns, and they're really pretty. One of them is, I don't know what it's, Angel or something, but she has a lute, and I really liked it because she's playing music or whatever, and I thought that's really great. And then one of them I think is Guardian Angel, and it's an angel with a baby holding a baby, and the other one is, like I said, is like something like Angel of Hope or something. But they're really, really pretty,
And who designs it?
These are by Lavender and Lace.
Oh, I thought it was a person.
And there probably is somebody's name on there, but at the time that I bought them, it was a long time ago, like in the, I don't know, in the 90s, I would guess.
Wow.
And I had never shopped at a needlework shop.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff that I had, I got like, you know, at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever. And I also at that time had never stitched on anything other than Ada.
Yeah.
And so I had a few pieces of like linen, I guess. And the Lavender and Lace things are charted to be stitched on linen. And they had, I guess, all the DMC threads, but also had like beads and Krynic and stuff like that. And so I kind of tried at the time to buy supplies, whatever, at you know, wherever I was, Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever. And they had some stuff, but not, you know, a really good selection. And this is, of course, in the days before online shops and things like that. So I don't have the exact, like, Krynic things, for instance. And so, you know, of course, it would be much easier to kit those things up and to work on them now if I were so inclined. But I'm like, am I really so inclined?
But so here's my question to you: do you feel guilty getting rid of them because you bought them and you like them?
No, I feel torn, not guilty, but like, you know, like, how badly do I want to keep them? How badly do I want to do them? Or do I want to just give them away or get, you know?
Yeah.
So,
because I'm like, if it doesn't bring you joy and you're not excited about it, then you know that once you start it, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what my thing is. So like, you know, I'm not really like burning desire to do this. And the same thing with the Teresa Wensler Castle Sampler thing. It's very complicated and very intricate, and it looks like it uses a million threads. I haven't even looked at that closely at it. And it's another one where, you know, it looks like it would be something, you know, you would put in a frame and hang on the wall, and I'm less inclined to do the things that, you know, something that's a little more versatile, that you could frame it, or you could make a pillow, or you could do something else, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to do those, and something smaller,
or something that, you know, a gift somebody would love.
Yeah.
No,
and
it's
so,
hard.
I all these things that I have, some of them I really want to do, and some of them I'm like, I don't know. And so
So that's what prompted you to do your notebooks?
That's no. Well, that's part of the thing that really prompted me was the stitching with the housewives. Like, I don't even know what I have.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, that's good though, because then you can go through and just do what you love. Because, you know, I think you love the primitive look about many of those things.
Well, what I found, because, like, you know, people have asked at various times, like, who's your favorite designer or whatever, and or what kind of designs do you like or whatever, and I'm more inclined to actually something like this that has like this. You can't really see this. This is a tiny photograph, but there's a little bunny in this. And so, and these little, you know, flowers and chicks and lambs and things like that. And there's a bunch of Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread charts that, like I did that little snowman thing that I did for Hannah. Things like that they're cute, and are like the little stacked animal series, Llama Lump and things like that, where there's, you know, 2 or 3. There's one with sloths, so there's one with llamas, where those are things that I find more attractive, and they're a little smaller. Some of all the bunny things. I have a bazillion bunny things. That Purcell's pocket that I was showing, you know,
that's your jam right now. And
yeah,
so,
that's
you know,
yeah.
Don't feel good. Yeah, but I
And
mean, you
so,
think, well,
so
I
I'm
spent
going
money
through
on
and
this.
I'm going through and I'm like, I don't know that I want so. And I bought those things such a long time ago that I'm sort of like, yeah, I don't feel any strong pull toward them nowadays.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of making a pile of things that to use as giveaways on my channel, or to maybe even go to something like one of the de-stash sites on groups on Facebook.
That's like when I think of that, like, I mean, I have tons of yarn that are kind of like that. Like I saw this thing about my stash explained. Maybe I'll put this picture up because I actually saved it to my phone. But it's got all these things like, yarn I bought. I don't know what I'm going to do. Single skeins of fingering yarn like those are like, and then yarn that's really fancy yarn I'm afraid to use, and a whip project box, and don't look in here, and and then one of those boxes was yarn I bought before I knew what was good. And I have a lot of that kind of yarn. And you don't want to become like a snob, but it's not really even that. It's like you narrow your interests and what floats your boat after you kind of dabble and try things, and
well, and for me,
I still have a box of acrylic yarn that I'm like, I actually purged a lot of it, but there's a box, and it's, I think I tried to save full skeins and stuff because I thought, well, there is appropriate moments to use acrylic yarn,
to make the cute octopus that I saw.
Or to I bought, and I actually bought some last year, green and orange, for this knitted pumpkin hat for cats, because I just think that Calvin and Hobbes need pumpkin hats.
They might want to be pumpkins for Halloween.
Yeah. So and I bought it, and I'm like, oh yeah, these cats need pumpkin hats. But actually, I bought it for a baby hat, but then never made it, of course. But but it's kind of the same thing. Like, your tastes were one, but obviously, even when you bought it, you didn't make it right away. So it's hard to decide, because you couldn't get the stuff,
Well, yeah, part of it was I couldn't get the stuff. Part of it was I was chicken, because I had never really stitched 2/2 or whatever. I'd never done that, but now I sort of have gotten to the point where
2/2. Don't you always stitch 2/2?
With Ada, it's 1/1 basically, 2/1 basically.
Okay.
And so, but once I started stitching on even weave or whatever,
nicer fabrics and stuff like that.
Well, I have no problem stitching.
No,
on
I don't
Ada,
mean nicer
but,
fabrics. I mean just different. And, very.
So I'll stitch on.
You're not an Ada snob.
No, I'm not.
Or a linen snob, I mean.
Yeah, but I have gotten to where I like stitching on Lugana, and so I typically do 2/2 on Lugana, and this right here is 32 count linen, and so it's just slightly smaller, and it's harder to see, and there's one place here where it's very schlubby and very gigantic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this really only over 2? But anyway, so
your stash is patterns and maybe flosses and some fabric. Mine is patterns and flosses and not so much fabric, and paint and gourds and
gourds.
Paint brushes and canvases and sewing fabric that has nothing to do with this other fabric, and then the sewing fabric that does have to do with this stuff, and beads, and then we're not even talking about the other stuff that goes with the painting, like mediums and the palette paper. I buy this stuff upside, drawing papers and you know,
Well,
watercolor paper and
At
watercolors.
least you don't have 4 sewing machines.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that these are the things that you're passionate about,
Yeah.
and so when you, and yes, I am passionate about all these things. But, well, the gourds, we bought them last year, and we haven't sat outside to do them. We have to do them
But we
outside.
We will. We
But
will. We will.
But we will. And so I think that when you know, other people look at your stash and they say, why do you have all that stuff? You don't need that much stuff. Other people do that. And there are times when you go through and you're going, you know, I bought this, but I don't know.
Well, I think,
But, you know, you bought it for a reason. And so you have to examine, you know, what that reason was.
Well, and you know,
decide if
the
you
thing
want
is,
it.
Beth, is I
and
think
you change.
if you think, well, if you're torn, then I would keep it because a piece of a pattern paper isn't taking up room, that much room.
mm,
I mean, your book's full, but it's all contained. That's an organized way to keep something. And then, you know, actually put a sticky note on there with today's date.
mm,
And then in a year, if you still haven't removed that sticky note and kitted up that thing, then you can say, okay, I really don't want to do
yeah,
this.
I think that part of it is too that, you know, I've been stitching since, when did I start? In December of 1988. I know specifically.
I
because
should know this.
No, I know that specifically
that's when you
because
taught her how.
because that was the Christmas that I learned how. So, but so here it is, 2021. I've been stitching for 30 something years, and so you know, and I'm a keeper. I have all the patterns that I ever stitched, really, and they're really. I would think there weren't that many, but there kind of are, and but then like all the patterns that well, you know, and I didn't have that many until like just the last few years. Then like my stash went.
Yeah, because after your surgery, you started stitching in earnest
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Because before I had like a few patterns like that Teresa Wensler tassel sampler pattern and the lavender and lace patterns, but for the most part, I would buy something. I think, okay, I'm going to make this for so and so for Christmas or you know for their birthday or whatever. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of Huck towels. You know, I made Mom that dish towel thing for with a poinsettia on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually bought one for you and one for Eve at the same time.
Well, where's my towel?
It's in my
actually,
stash.
Don't make it because apparently I'm not allowed to have any more kitchen towels. Apparently, I have too many kitchen towels.
Who says you have too many kitchen towels?
Who do you think says I have too many of anything?
And how much does he cook?
Yeah. How many oboes does he have?
Okay. We're not talking about oboes, but the thing is that it's true. If I did all the laundry and put everything away, he wouldn't have any say. But because he puts the laundry away, God bless him. He's like, I can't fit all these kitchen towels in here. But actually, I bought some. I'm like, I bought some kitchen towels today at IKEA. Those beautiful,
Oh,
those
I
cute
remember.
ones. I'm like, and I promise I'm going to purge the ones I have. And I did actually, because you said you were going to purge these. He's not mean. He's the sweetest guy. But
He actually is really good about all the craft stuff she does.
yeah. So, but it worked out because a lot of my towels are still really nice. They're just older and faded. I said, hey, Eli, you moved to your place. You want these? He's like, sure. So we put them in a bag. They're nice. He'll have plenty. It's a good way to start, and I'll send some to Hannah. But those ones at IKEA were so cute. But anyway, you know, the thing is, too, it's like you just kind of find your niche. So I have this picture in my mind because I keep starting projects, and I finish few, right? But I have this picture in my mind that one day I'll be done. And I'll have to look for a pattern. Like, people are like, I'm looking for a pattern to do. And I'm like, who is looking for a pattern? Patterns come at me, and it's like drinking from a fire hose. And I'm like, okay, I'll make that. Okay, I'll make that. Okay. But I just like, and so I feel this stress. But I think, you know, because I was like, okay, this summer, because actually Mania inspired me. You guys are doing Mania, Whip Mania, right? And so I just joined in, and I guess knitters have something called Finish It February. And so, but I went ahead and and pulled all my whips out, you know, and I kind of decided then, yes, I still want to work on this, or maybe not, you know. And so I have them all actually in separate project bags on a coat rack.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm bored with one, I go and I pick another, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking maybe this summer I could work on all my whips, you know, get them done. I have a few priorities, like Rachel's shawls and Rachel's shawl.
Those little sweaters.
And those little sweaters, because those guys are going out of the country soon, so I need to get those done. But then the other ones, you know, I want to finish. Of course, I have to start socks in the middle of it, but but then because now I'm like, great, Casapinka's, you know, mystery knit along is starting in August, and I like to stay, you know, it's fun to stay in you know, in step with it. But if I don't, it's no big deal.
Well, I started
But
that Sal.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time to do this.
I know. And so then I'm like, okay, but then after the knit along, I can finish all these things, and after the knit along, the long stretch of time with nothing to knit will be in there, and I can put Knit Stars is coming in like October. So I'm like, ugh. But anyway, I'm really going to try to work. It worked really well for me in Mania to actually have a whip a day to work on. And so maybe I should do that again for the summer. Because July, I realized I actually have the month of July. Remember? I forgot about July. So I'm going to try to do that this month. These are just a quick little thing I'm finishing up, but I'm going to try to do that. Really work in earnest every single day on something different and try to get my whips, done. Because it worked really well for me in May. And so I'm like, I need to do that and be more disciplined. Between now and August 15th, it's about a little over a month to really work on those whips that I have priority on. And then the mystery, because what I want is to have a nice big project that's all I focus on. But I can't focus because I keep starting new things.
Well,
it's so stupid.
In the cross stitch world, there's, you know, a lot of people have, like, some people have very, to me, they're kind of strict rotations. Like, every Monday they do this, every Tuesday they do that. Or it's, you know, it's the third of the month, I do such and such. And so, you know, and other people, like, there's a WhipGo board that, like, looks like bingo. So somebody, the girl who invented it, I guess, you know, she calls out numbers like you would call out bingo, but I guess it's WIPGO or something like that. Right? So I don't know, because I haven't looked into it as much. I've just heard it referenced. She calls out the you know, the letters or whatever, and so you find that square on your WhipGo board, and you work on that, and you set yourself a goal, like, I'm gonna do
20 minutes or
X amount or
you're going to work on that 5 days, or you're going to work on it 2 days.
What worked out for me is because my days are so varied, and sometimes there's nothing to do, and sometimes there's everything to do. So I can't say every single day I'm going to spend X hours. I can't. But what I did in May was I would wake up early, or the night before, I'd look and say, oh, what's tomorrow? And I'd wake up early, and I usually work on it before the house wakes up, because I always get up at 5, 6. I don't do anything productive. I just sit. So, or sometimes I waste it on my phone. But anyway, I was like, I can work on it, you know, early in the morning, and then, you know, throughout the day, if I sit down, that's what I'm going to force myself not to dream about new patterns and and force myself for that day to. And then at night before I go to bed, I sit and knit, and so that worked really well for me. So I'm like, I need to do that. I also need to add in all the other things I need to do in that. But you know, when I had, you know, because I'm going to spend time knitting every single day, and so it worked for me to structure it. So maybe this summer, it'll be the summer of whips, and I'll get more done, because I liked that, and it kept me focused and kept me, you know, but I don't want to have just one day a month that I work on something. That's not going to work. You know?
But like I said, that you know, some people do that. Some people have, you know, well, like on Stitching with the Housewives, they used to do a thing like on Mondays they would do Merry Mondays, so they would do some kind of Christmas thing, and on Tuesday I think was a free day, and Wednesday was I don't know. But so every day of the week, or 2 or 3 days of the week, were dedicated to something, and like their reasoning was like, for instance, doing Merry Mondays, whatever, Santa Sundays and Merry Mondays. That was one couple of them, but was that way you basically work on Christmas things all year round, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that instead of like
cramming
it, yeah. So that's one way of doing
That's
it.
smart.
Or
You mean like Christmas gifts or Christmas themes, or
Just
Christmas
whatever,
themes, I guess.
Yeah.
whatever you think Christmas
Yeah.
is. And
So, but anyway, but at the same time, there's also those who do the stitch what I want when I want kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So that you're not
Yeah.
like bound to a strict thing. So it's whatever works for you. Basically, is what it is. And for me, it seems to be the these challenges, the like cross stitch camp, where you want to finish something within this month,
Yeah.
or
I guess
and
goals.
so-
That's my problem. Is
Yeah.
is it if I have
and posting before and after pictures
yeah,
helps a lot
if I
too.
don't have a goal in mind, and the problem is I lose, like, okay, this is for Christmas, but I'm going to give it to you in next June,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe what I'm going to do, at least personally, is try to make August 15th like a deadline for me to at least get a lot of work done on these whips, because I really want to start that mystery knit along with a clear mind,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy it, and not feel like, oh, I really want to do this, but I have,
Well, one of the things that
And don't forget, I also have to make a gnome quilt. Somebody come
one of
help
the
me.
things that I did with the cross stitch camp, because I never would have finished that whale in a month, because the shiny things, I was debating about which little Christmas thing, and I was like, well, I could start the snowman right now. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this little Mill Hill kit, and then I'll start my snowman, because it's still July, and it's only 3rd. But the files that I have in Pattern Keeper, as you work on them, it tells you what percentage that you're done.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you how many stitches you did that day, and
All Knit Companion does is tell you the hours you've had it open, whether you're knitting or not.
and it tells you what percentage you're done, and
That's nice.
And because I started 2 different things that I want to finish during June, I want to finish the
You mean
July, the Sal portion for July, and the cross stitch camp for July, and the Jolly July things, of course, that I started, which one of them is this Mill Hill kit. I was like, well, I'm going to have to figure, and then I also want to sew and make a quilt and sew project bags and whatnot. So I can't
make it
just
easier by doing just one thing. I just cross it.
yeah, but you want to make scissor fobs and stuff, and
That's
you
true.
haven't gotten to that. So, well, she can't make them because I have the table like this with fabric. So
There's another table in this house.
I know she doesn't want to do that.
I know, I'm just joking.
So
It's just a joke.
I figured out that I said if I get 3% done every day, 3% doesn't sound like a lot to have done, but if I do 3% on my July project, at the camp project, and I do 3% on the
Yeah.
on the Sal,
No,
and
yeah.
then I don't have the kits in Pattern Keeper, but if I do just like 2 threads or something,
Mm-hmm.
then I should get done in a timely fashion. And then once I've done that, even though I still want to work on it, no, I need to go and move to other
XYZ,
projects that I
yeah.
have to do.
Yeah.
And because in May I was cross stitching so much, I got almost nothing done, so sewing wise.
Mm-hmm.
And like the 4th of July bags, I should have made in May or early June, and I was cross stitching, and that's okay. But you know, if I have all these things that I want to do, I have to find a way to plan and structure my days, and that means structuring how much time I devote to whatever project
Yeah.
I'm working on,
Yeah.
no matter how badly I want to finish
It really, I guess it really boosted my brain to get that little cross stitch done, the farm fresh eggs.
You got it done really
because
fast.
I got it because well it was nice and attainable, but finishing it I was like, it took me just a few days, a little bit of it at a time, you know, and I'm like, I actually finished something. Well, I mean, I finished Hannah's top. It took me a year, but you know that
other
kind of
cross
thing.
stitch projects you haven't
But
finished.
yeah, I don't do well doing
like your
cross stitch.
Santa Claus.
I wanted to show
really
you
wanna
this
do
ruler. Look at this cool ruler. I was using it earlier.
for your socks.
I got this at a, you know, you get those magazines at Joann's that have a bag around them and they have stuff. This was on a magazine, and it's got centimeters on one side and inches on the other, and so I don't know if you noticed, I had it in here so I can measure my the length of this sock. I've decided how, so I put that curve right at the heel, and then I pull the needles down, not too hard. You don't want to stretch it, but. And then it tells you, you know, you decide how long you're going to make it and how far you got to go. I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We should probably,
We should go.
yeah, because it's been a really long.
We've been talking a lot. But anyway, so I've decided I'm going to whip my whips. That's going to be my theme song this summer. Whip your whips. That's what I'm doing. So you can keep track of my progress on here.
You still need to write a song about a whale and a light bulb.
Whale and light bulb. I need to write that song one day. Well, I hope you're having a great 4th of July. I hope we've spent a lot of time, we have spent a lot of time with you today, but I hope you're crafting and whipping your whips, and we will see you next week.
Right.
We'll be closer to my birthday. Oh, look at my birthday present. One of my birthday presents. It's a little girl scissor. My gosh, she's cut in half. See you next week.
Bye.